Hey, this is Patrick from WorkHands, and I'm going to take you through how to use WorkHands as an apprentice. Now, there's a number of things on WorkHands that anybody can use. I'm not going to spend my time here. If you're interested, you can take a look at other videos. We'll go over how to use a profile, build out a profile to make a resume, how to join networks like your community college network or your training network or things like that. But for now, we're going to focus on the apprenticeship. So let's dive right in. So if you're a member of an apprenticeship program that uses WorkHands to track OJT hours, you'll see a card for your apprenticeship as well as a tracking button. You'll also be able to access it in the sidebar, so let's hop over and do that. Now the first thing you'll notice when you fire up your account as an apprentice is the progress that you've completed to date. So whether you're a new apprentice or whether you're an existing apprentice who's just joining WorkHands for the first time, you'll see your exact progress in your apprenticeship. In this case, you can see Lance is 75% done with his apprenticeship, as well as how you're doing against each of the requirements in your apprenticeship. You'll notice there's a mixture of green and red in these charts. Green signifies things that have been submitted and approved. So any hours you've done, say in this case against springs, frames, and front axles, that have been approved by your supervisor, in this case Tony Bowman, will show up as green in these charts. And you can see that this person is 44% done with 198 hours of green. You'll also see red in these charts, and what this means is this is where you would be if you had completed 75% of your requirement as well as you are your total. Typically, we don't expect anybody to actually do all of their requirements equally, but what this will do is it'll teach you over time where you're spending more or less time in your apprenticeship such that you and your supervisor can work together to make sure you balance out the work and experience that you get as part of your OJT. So you'll see, for example, that in the cooling section, Lance has really covered everything he has to do in his apprenticeship. Certainly he may have to continue doing more work there, but he and his supervisor should work together to see where are there opportunities for him to get more involved with work on brakes. Maybe there's some metal fabrication work he can be doing, and it doesn't just have to come from your supervisor now. You, the apprentice, should take ownership of how you're doing such that you can guide your apprenticeship and make sure you're getting the most out of it as well. Now, how did all these hours get in here? Well, each month we're going to send you a notification to submit your hours, your time cards. And we'll pull those up. And while that's pulling up, we can actually show you the schedule for how this works. So at the end of each month, or beginning of each month, we'll send you a notification about the previous month, typically on the 2nd, to say, hey, time cards are due. We'll typically send you a reminder on the 7th if you haven't sent in your hours, and then finally we'll let you know when they're overdue. And in between them, we'll let the supervisors know if they need to approve, and finally we'll let administrators know if things are overdue or things have been submitted. And then you can see here is all of your past hours are slowly built up as you start to chip away at your progress in your apprenticeship. So what does a notification like this typically look like? Let's just go back to the home page. So you can actually get notifications in a number of different ways. You can be sent an email. You can be sent a text message. If you have one of our apps installed, you can actually get a push notification, and you can actually control which of these you'd prefer. Whenever you get one of those messages, though, you'll also see an indicator here at the top of your screen telling you have a notification. And this time it says, hey, it's time to go and submit your December 2016 time card. So let's go and do that. What that's going to do is going to bring us back to the same time card screen we were just at. But if, say, you're somewhere else in the app, it's an easy way to jump straight to the time card that you care about. So in this case now, we can see the due time card that we have. You can see that none of these hours have been filled out. So let's go ahead and fill these out as if we had worked the past month. So we're going to put in 10 hours, metal fab. Maybe we really want to catch up on clutches. We did 30 hours there. Maybe we did another 30 on brakes, rear axles, and U-joints. Take another look at everything, make sure it's okay. As soon as we hit submit, it's going to be sent to our supervisor. We're going to go ahead and submit. Once we click that, you'll see that it says submitting, and then in the background, WorkHands does a series of calculations and also gets ready to notify your supervisor, assuming everything looks okay. Once that goes through, we'll tell you, hey, it's submitted. We've notified your supervisor for review. And really, assuming everything's approved, there's nothing left for you to do here. You'll start to notice that you have a block of hours that show as submitted. They're not quite as dark green, but they show the progress that you've made over this session. And you can see the numbers have been updated as well. So assuming that was approved, you'll have nothing to do until the next month. As soon as your supervisor approves, you'll get a notification to come back into WorkHands, just letting you know that your numbers have been updated. These numbers will switch over into that dark green again. So that's really it, and actually if your supervisor rejects it for whatever reason, you'll get a similar notification. You'll come in, reopen that time card, and just adjust the hours based on their feedback. Maybe it's because you over-reported certain hours, maybe you missed certain hours because of training, things like that. We'll just make sure that it's all accounted for appropriately. Now finally, throughout the month, you can either take and track your hours on a piece of paper or on a notepad, or you can actually use WorkHands throughout the month as well. So, we're in the middle of January right now, and you can see that you have a current time card. So let's open one of these up. And a current time card is where you can keep track of all of those hours before you're ready to submit. So, take a look here. Maybe I, just completed one day. We're going to put in 8 hours on electrical systems as a result. I spent the entire day in electrical systems. That's one day. All we're going to do here, instead of submitting, we're going to save for later. What that does, it just goes and saves those hours until the next day. So if I want to keep using this day after day, I'll just keep bringing open the same current time card that represents the current month, and just keep updating the hours throughout the month such that by the time the month is over, all I have to do is click submit. I don't have to actually go and enter these in. So say now I have put another 4 hours. We're going to call this 12 hours, and we did 4 hours on engines. We'll go ahead and save that. And there you go. And then whenever the time comes, we get a notification. We'll pull up that time card. It'll be marked as due once we get into February. And then we can go ahead and click submit. Now finally, you watch this video, you get going, you're using WorkHands. Maybe you run into an issue, you have questions, you kind of forget how this was used. We're always here to support you. So if you have any questions, you can always pull up our support chat. You can put a question, hey, I'm having trouble submitting my hours, and our WorkHands team will get back to you as soon as we can. Typically, we're around anytime from 9 to 5 Pacific hours. We may not be at our desk exactly when you message, in which case we'll just get back to you. And any of your message history will show up here in this box. So, just keep an eye on this message box if you have any questions, and we can help you out right then and there. You don't have to wait. You don't have to worry about what's going on. We can typically hop in there and help you with whatever the problem is. So that's really it. This is WorkHands for Apprentices. If you have any questions, like I said, feel free to pull us up on chat, or you can always email us at support@workhands.us. Thank you.